Rekkles talks about abandoning Europe. Now, this was hilarious to me. And the reason why this was so hilarious to me is because I saw like all this going off. Like Rekkles doesn't tweet much. He like barely tweets. So when he tweets, he's also got like huge fandom, right? He's like one of the most popular players in EU history. He gets insane like responses, right? So Popsley, the reason why this is all funny is because this started with a Popsley reply. And if you want to know who Popsley is, just read his bio. Like this guy is just a complete troll. He's just a complete troll. He's just tries to just troll everyone on Twitter. He essentially just tweets like Nikic. And he said, "You abandoned Europe when they needed you most and went ring chasing with T1. You're no better than Kevin Durant." And obviously this is troll because it's like, what do you mean ring chase? Like he went to the academy team. He didn't go to the main team. Like, you're no better than Kevin Durant. Like it's clearly a joke. Now, obviously people are just mega ill on Twitter. They see something like this and they're like, "We must protect Rekkles. Of course you're a KC fan. I can't." And then people are just flaming him. "What are you on about? Bro, what are you talking about?" It's like, look guys, if something seems really fucking ill and like, it's like, what? This seems like a crazy comment. If it's that crazy, a lot of times it's sarcastic. Now, you can kind of tell based on who it is if it's sarcastic or not. I think that's the easiest way to do it. So then Rekkles replied to him and said, "G2 not only benched me at the start of 2021 during my first year of the 3-year contract, but they also made sure that under no circumstances would I go to another LEC team for egoistic reasons, financial/easier competition. KC saved me and also did everything they could to help me get back to LEC at the end of 2022, removing buyout if I agreed to not receive half of my salary for that year. Fnatic then in turn decided to bench me after 4 months of my 2-year contract, trying to get me out after a few weeks, failing to do so at an earlier time. T1 saved me once again and will do everything they can to not only support me during a continuous tough period in my life, but also help me as much as they can to make sure 2025 is a good situation for me. The villains are within the region I abandoned." So true. Like this is something that we've heard for a while. I think that GMing in Europe has been very like shady in a lot of ways. I mean, even if it goes back to Perks, right? I think Perks was the first person that really came up where this was known to have happened, where when Perks and G2 decided to go in separate ways because he didn't want to play AD anymore, and there was that agreement where Caps would stay as the mid laner regardless. Perks tried to go to Fnatic and G2 blocked. They like wrote in an agreement where Perks could not go to Fnatic for like until 2025. So that's something that they tweeted about this year, is that this year is the first year where Perks' Fnatic ban has been lifted. Because originally what was going to happen before Nisqy ended up going to Fnatic in 2021 was Perks was just going to join Fnatic and it was going to be, you know, Rekkles on G2 versus Perks on Fnatic. That was going to be the deal. And the reason why this was written in the contract is because G2 was afraid that, like, let's say they sold Perks somewhere else, if they didn't have that like 3-year ban, if they didn't have it written into the contracts that he couldn't be sold to G2, then another team would essentially just do the move for them. Like another team would just help Fnatic and they would probably just take a cut of the money by transferring him to C9 and then like to Fnatic because he ended up going to C9, right? So like that was something that they tried to remove. So this is something that is done a lot in Europe, and obviously it hurts competition. Also, something that's happened for many players in Europe is players just are not signing to teams because of German labor laws. This is another issue with LEC. Because in Germany, you can like receive, if you sign like a 2-year contract, if no one takes that contract off the company's hands, you are just sitting there and you get paid like 50 to 60% of your contract, your salary, as if you were playing, but you're just not playing, you're just sitting at home. So because of German labor laws, a lot of players end up sitting out contracts because they are incentivized to essentially do it. It's like, oh, you could just sit on this contract and make like money for free if we choose to not have you on the team, or you could go to another team and potentially make even less money than what this contract is. So it's really it's a really weird situation in Europe. But yeah, I mean, Rekkles is somebody who did get when it comes to contracts. I 100% believe this type of stuff. Now, whether he was like a saint during all of this, I think that's another story. I don't know if he was like the perfect player within G2 and it was like, oh, why does this keep on happening to Rekkles? This happened for no reason. I think Rekkles is a very specific type of person. I mean, he's very particular in a lot of ways. He came out earlier this year. He like, I guess, announced publicly that he is like high functioning autist, which when this wasn't known, I think a lot of people just perceived him as like, oh, why is he like an asshole, or why is he behaving differently around certain things? So this is something that I think was an issue with other teams. Like, he had a very specific way of working within Fnatic when he joined other teams, when he joined G2 mainly. They just weren't happy. They wanted a different type of player. They wanted somebody who's going to be like one of the bros, so to speak, as opposed to somebody who operates in their own way. But yeah, okay. So this is to Popsley reply. So this is some drama. Like, Rekkles barely tweets. When he drops this is a fucking big tweet to make. And obviously it's stirring up a lot of drama on Reddit, so we'll check that in a second. Neon says, could be worse. You could have been benched by the teammate sitting next to you, who you could see flaming you on Discord on his screen to the guy that replaces you. Damn. So this is most likely talking about Perks, because he was on Vitality. And this would be Perks flaming Neon to Upset. And this is what Neon, and yeah, I mean, Neon's career has never really recovered from this. Neon was really hyped up coming out of 2022. He was on that Misfits team that overperformed. And most people's reasoning for the overperformance of that team was Vetio and Neon. Like, Neon was like the secondary carry of that team, so that's why he got on the Vitality roster in the first place. He also, I think, was playing with the same coach that was coach of Misfits that year. Like, his name Coach... Is that Coach Carter? Is his name Coach Carter? I remember him being Coach Carter. Let me see. I believe it was Coach Carter. Oh, yeah. Coach Carter. Alex Cartwright. This guy. He came with this guy who was his coach in Misfits to Vitality. Boom. Okay. Anyways. Yeah, I mean, Neon was generally perceived to underperform. I think he was underperforming at that point. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the move. Like, benching Neon for Upset, I think that's a smart move. Like, every time. But I would say that, like, yeah, it's obviously f***ed up for Perks to be like flaming Neon in a way that he could see it. Like, I mean, everyone kind of talks shit about players that are getting benched. There's a reason why players are benched, right? Like, it's very common in the industry that people are like, yeah, this guy's like shit, bro. Like, we just need you to come in. We're gonna be so much better with you. Whatever. Like, I think that's commonplace in the industry, but it is kind of f***ed up that you do it like in the office where your teammate could just see it. So this is what's going around, bro. We got drama in Europe. Hell yeah. Drama in Europe every day. Nice.